All right, Elon and the president go nuclear, going live in 3, 2. All right, we have just explosive updates on this feud, and this feud does matter. Now, if you're somebody who says, I don't care about, little feuds between so and so, I don't care about the president, I don't care about Elon. These are just massive. Like, I was not expecting this. I was expecting this to get, maybe a little bit dicey, but not the way that it has now gone in the last 24 hours. People are asking if this is real or staged, and to be honest, I don't think it could be staged, the things that they're saying. This is like savage. Like, what ended up happening, WTF happened that has got this to the point where it is. I mean, we're talking about, accusations and claims and of course, exposing. This is nuts. I mean, this really could change history. This feud could change history, and we'll show you why. First off, this tweet by Elon Musk says, such an obvious lie, so sad. And it was a post by Donald saying, Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do. And he just went crazy. This literally looks like, both men are essentially on the offensive and on the defensive at the same time. We're going to talk about it. This is not the worst. We're talking about dropping dragons, SpaceX. The government isn't going to have a way to the ISS. We're talking about EpiPen files, right? The president being involved. It has just gone insane. Before we do, though, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. This is a device and a technology that can not only protect you, can protect your cars, trucks, motorcycles, and boats against, of course, an EMP strike from an adversary or a Carrington-level event from the sun. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. This device can easily be wired in less than 10 minutes by you. You don't need a handyman or a mechanic to put this in. In less than 10 minutes, you will be protected. Your car will be protected. Your home will be protected. Your ham radio, anything that runs, you get this, and it will ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second between a solar natural event or an EMP, an adversarial attack from another country. Again, this is a technology that is used by agencies like DHS, DOD, and the DEMSO team since 2018. So again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF. Again, that will get you $50 off per device, and it will help out independent media, in particular our small and stunted channel. So thank you, and we appreciate it. All right, now let's get into this. Let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugel fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, Dex, you and I were talking about this today. This is just nuts. This has gone way south. In this other piece, it basically says that Elon Musk alleged that President Donald's name was listed in the classified files related to the financier EpiPen, the offender, right? As if, and essentially said that time to drop the really big bomb, Musk said in a June 5th post on X today. It says @RealDonald is in the EpiPen files, and that is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. That's savage. That's like a mic drop and like a big bird flipped. Were you expecting this? Those are fighting words.
Yeah, and it's almost so extreme, you almost want to think that it's staged. And I know a lot of people are going down this path that this is a big setup between the two of them against Congress. And I'm torn on which way to lean on this. I can see all different angles. He even started a poll asking if there should be a new political party representing 80% of America. And, he's got 80 something percent people saying absolutely they should not be the GOP or be the Democrats anymore. They should come up with another party. So I don't know that even solves anything either, because I think it's all controlled to some extent. But And to that extent, you got to think that maybe this is even controlled too, and or is he just rogue? But there's so many connections between him and the government that if this falls apart, it's going to fall apart in a big way. And he's got a lot of sway. So we're already seeing that there's pressure now in the Senate, pressure in the Congress. Everybody's buzzing about this and wondering, okay, what should they do, because he's stirred up a hornet's nest in the populace.
Yeah, and that is over 3.7 million votes, and 80% of that 3.7 million. I mean, Family Feud does their surveys based on 100. This is 3.7 million people. And remember, there's a lot of people on there, and who knows, maybe it's down to 20% of those people were the old school people that weren't left or right, right? You know, now Elon is a right-leaning figure. And I'm sure that over the last 4 years, a lot of people unfollowed him that, you know, didn't like him. But I don't know. I see a lot of people that hate Elon follow him on Twitter. So is this, you know, is this accurate? You know, is this something that's just because it is from his followers, right? Well, as far as that goes, that's a huge survey. 80% say that there's supposed to be, you know, this new political party, right? Is this some sort of big staged event to try to get something like this put into place, and then later on they, you know, they take a couple hits right now, and then later on they end up smooching and making up? I honestly, the things that are being said right now are so big. And by the way, when Elon started Doge, you know, obviously the president was against the EV thing. He was against everybody doing this, or at least he publicly was, right? He was going the opposite direction. He would rather drill than have everybody do this renewable energy thing, as far as he's said multiple times during his last term and this one and before that, you know, a lot of this requiring of this and all of the planetary stuff that's going on, the climate stuff, everything he kind of pulled out of. Said that he was not going to be behind Elon's plans. This was one of the quotes. "I don't mind Elon turning against me, but he should have done so months ago. This is one of the greatest bills ever presented to Congress. It's a record cut in expenses, $1.6 trillion, and the biggest tax cut ever given. If the bill doesn't pass, there will be a 68% tax increase. And things far worse than that. I didn't create this mess. I'm just here to fix it. This puts our country on a path of greatness." Now, you could see everybody wants to go against Donald, right? If you're on the opposite side of Donald, all the other side, and they know this, they could say, "Hey, dogs fly in space," and if Donald says dogs don't fly in space, the other side, they are so in loathing of Donald, they'll say they do fly in space. You know, they will do anything to disagree with the Donald. So is this creating an enemy to Donald, and then the left will agree with Elon, and then, you know, end up going with Elon and saying, yeah, Donald's horrible and everything else, and then they get this party put into place?
Well, you know, Adam, I think the other parts of this, that if you look at the words that are being said here, you kind of if you try to mince them a little bit and think exactly what they're saying, you can sort of see this idea that it could be a staged event. And if you walk sort of through it, like, Elon has always been in favor of getting rid of the EV mandates. He's even said it before. It's on record. He even said it in March, sitting at the table next to Trump. They played that video, or he did. He posted it and reposted it again. He's like, "That's not the issue. I've said before, I'm fine if the EV mandates go away." But if you think about this, like, when he started to step out of Doge, one of the first things he did was say, "You know what? I think I've spent enough money in politics. I'm going to reel it back." Well, who needs his money in politics? It's not Trump. It's the GOP that's in the House that is going to be up in 2 years, and some of the senators that are going to be up in 2 years for re-election and need that money, right? They were counting on him to be a financial backer of the party and get them into place. So he starts off with that. Then we start to move into this, well, I don't know that I like the bill, to now, oh my gosh, this bill is horrible. It puts pressure on those people. Now you get Trump making these statements like the one you opened up with. And if you actually read the words of it specifically, he says, you know, that there were, you know, blah, blah, blah about the bill. And then he goes, he just went crazy. He didn't say because of that he went crazy. He just made one statement and then said he just went crazy. Well, yeah, technically Elon did go crazy in Trump's mind because that's what he did. And he's not really lying. And it's, if you want to think that it's staged, it certainly allows him to make that statement just so much as the EpiPen statement that Elon made was not specific. It didn't say that he's in the new files, the classified files, or any files. He just said the files. Well, he's been in the files, the public files that have been out for years now. Trump's name's been in there. There's no new news as it relates to that outside of what may be coming from classified files. But if you look specifically at the words, he just said in the files. And then he said that's the reason why they haven't been made public. So it's not necessarily clearly stating that he's in those unpublic files. It's insinuated. So you can kind of roll through these little mincing of words and realize there's a potential that they could be playing Congress. And they really could be doing this to put pressure on them. And the last thing, sorry, Adam, real quick, the whole idea that he had the option to see this bill is not true either, because the congressman didn't see this bill. This bill was literally re-edited and literally voted on in the last 3 minutes or 7 minutes because of some rule change they made to get it put together. And nobody was able to actually fully read it when they voted on it. They all voted on it just sort of knowing what they thought was in it and not
which is crazy.
The many pages. Yeah, normally they have this timeline, and they didn't have that this time. They didn't have it at all. So Elon didn't have it if they didn't have it.
But again, it's a bill, then it gets to be looked at, and then it's actually voted on, right? But here's another thing, and this is weird, and this makes me think the other way, is he puts in quotes, Elon was wearing thin. What is that? Like, I was thinking of, like, why did he put wearing thin in quotes? Is this, like, something where it's an inside thing between him and Elon? Like, wearing thin. Why? I just wonder, like, is that a saying of any kind? Is that old school? Like, I get wearing thin, like wearing thin, but why quotes around it, right? I don't understand the quotes part. It almost seems like, is there a secret? There's a lot of stuff around Macron and doing, like, is this some sort of thing like, I know something about you, I'll put out this about you or something? Like, why that in quotes? I understand the saying. I've said it. Oh, God, she looks like she's wearing thin these days. But why in quotes? I just wonder if that's like an inside jab, like he knows something, or what if Elon was doing something, or something that he could say later, and this is kind of a threat if it's a real feud. But I gosh, how could this not be? I mean, but I do understand that now, you have two sides. And who do you think people are going to take? If people hate Donald, whose side are they going to pick? I think they'll pick Elon's.
Well, if it is fake and you want it to look real, wouldn't you come out swinging with the hardest punches you can throw? I mean, Trump doesn't care. He's had worse stuff thrown at him, right? And he's like Teflon Don. He doesn't really care. Like he gets over that stuff. He actually loves the controversy. So to some extent, you could say he could easily tell Elon, yeah, throw it all at me. I don't care. I'll be able to handle it. And so that maybe that gives credibility to the fact that it is fake, because they are making the punches so hard, which also makes it difficult to say it's fake, because you're saying the punches are so hard. How could it possibly be fake?
Well, I mean, as far as this goes, like, this is, this is something that now there was also a response. Let me go back to the tweets. Elon is now saying that he is going to drop the Dragon spacecraft. I'm trying to find where we can find that one, actually, because that one's also the the response.
Trump started it by saying he was going to defund. He goes, the easiest way to save some money is to stop spending the billions we spend on Elon's companies. I don't know why Biden didn't do it sooner. So because he said that, he said, well, then, we're going to immediately start to shut down, was it Dragon capsule, I think?
Yeah, and the Dragon capsule is how they would get people off the ISS. It would be how everything happens. So, do they start doing this? And then, by the way, it's a threat. They keep calling it a threat to cut him out of the contracts. one thing too is anybody that is against DJT is now going to be pro Elon, or they could be going, oh well, if Donald doesn't want this these EV contracts, then everybody that hates him is going to go, yeah, we want as many EV contracts as possible. They might then jump behind him. Like there could be a plan here that's much bigger, and I mean we're talking about on the president level. This is the president who sits in rooms with secret people, CIA, that do psyops in the entire world. I mean, that they run plans to literally confuse and to trick the American people and the people of the world. As much as you like or dislike Donald, that's what presidents are involved in. I mean, that's what all presidents are involved in. So it wouldn't be crazy to think that this was an op of some sort to end, to have an end result. I would love to hear some opinions. Please, of course, try to keep them kosher so we can actually keep them. I would appreciate, because the platform ends up censoring half the stuff on its own. But yeah, like what the hell is happening here? Dex,
the tweet you're looking for, Adam, if you go to our webpage for the show, it's one of the ones that's embedded in the page. It'll be easier to find that.
Okay,
way. So there's so much. Like Elon was going off today. There's probably like 100 tweets on this topic.
Yeah, and we have attached all of this. So you can, again, go over to marfooglenews.com. What the F just happened? They went nuclear. This is, and then he reposted this. Right? President versus Elon. Who wins? My money's on Elon. And the reposts of all of that. In light of the president's statements about cancellations of my government contracts, SpaceX will be decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. Now, look at the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that JB didn't do it. Well, JB was all about supporting the EV stuff. Like, I mean, that's the thing. I just don't get this. Like, and then the fact that he was not included in the AI thing either, all of the other companies, it almost seems like the perfect setup. And I was thinking at the very beginning of this, I said on air, like, as he was not included in this, not included in that, and then he can't be included if he's part of Doge. There's a lot of scrutiny about like what he's included in or if he gets extra benefits. Like, of course, you can't have him on the Doge committee and then during the Doge committee have all sorts of bonuses and then get all sorts of other contracts because it's going to look like foul play. So it seems to me like Elon going into that would know that. So why, again, it does make you think like he knew months ago that the president was against all of this. What is this? What the hell is this? But this could change history. It could change space history. And I also said, for the people that don't believe that there will ever be a hotel in space and that there will never be any of this stuff, it just seems perfect timing. Like, what if we get all this far and now they're putting out videos of hotels in space and tourist attractions and things like that, and then some sort of feud happens and it stops it, right? And perfectly, stopping regular people from going to space. I said, yeah, well, maybe something will happen beforehand and you'll be right, right? Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, so the other person, Steve Bannon, who is a huge Elon hater, so to speak, he came out and said immediately that Trump should use the Defense Production Act and seize SpaceX immediately, since he's trying to shut it down and they need it for, DOD and they need it for space and NASA missions and everything else. So, Steve's a little out there, but he's also a former, Trump advisor, if you guys remember from the first round. But I don't know that necessarily means Trump's going to listen to him, but that would, if you saw a move like that, could you imagine the president takes over something like SpaceX, a private company using a Defense Production Act? Because the company is threatening to shut down.
People would go nuts.
Yeah, that would be the next level. So, and maybe it is the next level. There's always Friday.
Yep, there's always Friday. And if you don't know, Fridays, that's when all the crazy stuff goes on because just like firings, they always do it on a Friday. By the way, the video right here, this is a video by Vast, essentially showing that in the future, right, he says, what an amazing video from Vast. I cannot wait to see this become reality. Elon posted it. And it shows her basically pressing an elevator button, says 215 or space, and then going up in a private capsule, going up to like some sort of tourist attraction where she does projects or something or whatever. It's like this is the future that they say is available right now, but look at the events in history. Now, all of a sudden, something might put an end to that. Dex, go ahead.
Oh yeah, real quick. Psalm 41:14. Thank you for the super sticker. And Snow Leo says, "Thank you, Marv and Dex, for all you do." And Wings and Wags Patriot says, "Elon was forced to join the Black Eye Club, if the elites." So thank you all for the support there.
It is kind of funny that happened like last week, and then all of a sudden, just all out conflict.
Did you hear
that is
Trump
kind
say he offered him makeup?
That is kind of crazy. I mean, like the day after that's pretty nuts. And then, because remember the list of things we went over, the list on Grok of like things it could be, and the last one is implants and control devices. They got to him.
Did you hear that Trump said he offered him makeup, and he turned it down?
Oh, I bet. Trump is always, I mean, you guys all know Trump always does makeup for public appearances, and he fake tans. He spray tans. Everybody knows that. I mean, you're not tan until you're 80 doing regular tans. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know he offered him makeup. No. But they're used to TV, right? Or Donald is. So, but
yeah, well, he made it a point to call it out in a press conference. He goes, "Yeah, he was so great. He came in here and he had that shiner on his eye, and I offered him some makeup." But he goes, "Nah, I don't need that."
It's kind of weird. I don't know, the whole makeup thing. In general, if you're in that world, it's considered normal. But yeah, just in general, men don't usually wear makeup. All right, and then yeah, there's some pretty bad memes out there. I'll let you guys go and check those out. All right. We will see you in a minute, but there's actually a much more serious thing brewing underneath this. Well, everybody's distracted by this. And again, I'm not calling it distraction. This might be very well something that changes history. There's something even bigger on the horizon. And this is something that, very well could be a Fantastic Freddy. But we'll talk about how the U.S. is preparing for something to happen on the homeland. Pearl Harbor 2.0. Again, make sure to join us for this video, because we're going to go over some pretty serious things that are happening, and no one is talking about it because of this Elon DJT thing. So join us in a few minutes. Again, we try to cover the stuff that's on the back page as well as the front page. We'll see you in a few minutes over on Marfoogle TV. If you're in the chat, all you have to do is stay here. You'll be ported over. But if you are watching the replay, make sure to click here.